Howdy, folks. Happy Thursday. I am back from Toronto, and it's always after 18 months of not going up there. I missed being there so much, but the trek to get up there early enough to be at the morning skate or be at the early morning media availability, and then finding someplace to hunker down and do the buzzcast and get something for lunch and walk around and kill time basically until the game. I didn't get home, Russ, until about 1:30 in the morning.
That's why you can't do it every game.
Yeah, I can't do that. One thing that this tells me is like now with the current restrictions, I don't know if we're ever going back in the locker room.
No, I think we are. I think in Philly, we're going to be in the locker room. I do.
Well, I mean, I don't know about Toronto. Maybe
Toronto may be different.
Yeah, but what they did was they brought them out to the podium in the media room, and that was fine. I had no complaints.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is you want them off the ice right then and there. That's when you want to talk to them so you can get instant reaction. By the time they set up a Zoom call and they can prepare for that, it's not as immediate.
Well, they're not doing Zooms anymore, but they're not really doing full morning skates anymore. They're doing optional morning skates.
Interesting. That may just be to keep guys away from each other.
Or it's load management that they find that there's no point in having a morning skate like that. So
yeah, we can talk about that. There was something I did mention on another show today, on the Locked On Flyers podcast. We'll talk about it, but
let's start. Go ahead.
Yeah, pre-show. So this year I'm not going, but I went last time. That was I can't say last year because of the pandemic, but a year and a half ago to the Baltimore Comic-Con. It's a real good one, and they actually have the shield that Chris Evans used on the set of Endgame on display there, and it's actually up for
the broken one. The broken one. Oh, okay, that's
a prop shield. It's a prop shield, and it's up for auction, and I think that's pretty cool. Like, I think for superhero nerds, and I'm one of them, that is the equivalent of like having like a Lou Gehrig bat on display. And, they how like the Hall of Fame bring around a traveling display every once in a while during the baseball season, have 3 or 4 items. I think that's very similar to that. And I think that's going to be a hot commodity for people to look at and make memes out of. And I like the idea of that, actually.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's certain things that like from movies that I would be like really enthused to like see. I mean, I know I remember going to the Smithsonian years ago in Washington and seeing a number of things from like the history of television that were like Archie Bunker's chair.
Right.
That's sort of cool to see. I mean, it's like and. Yeah,
now, I'll give you the ridiculous.
Okay.
For years, John Oliver's show bought the jock strap from Cinderella Man because that was up for auction with Russell Crowe. And what they did was they put that on display at like the last surviving Blockbuster in the United States. And it lasted like 2 years. And then all of a sudden, Blockbuster went under. So then they had to find a new home for it. That's the ridiculous one of that, but I do think this one is a real solid piece.
Yeah, but that's John Oliver. John Oliver's ridiculous, and
listen, he didn't put it up for auction though. They did. People, because the one thing that happens is, and I do get an email for it. I haven't bought anything yet, but I do get all the prop emails like this is for sale, this is for sale. So literally everything is for sale. They'll sell a pen. They will sell anything to make back some of that money that they've laid out for wardrobe and other things. So. Not shocking.
Yes, and I agree. Cinderella Man is a very good boxing movie.
It's a good one. There are better ones, like Raging Bull, way better. And that has nothing to do with Russell Crowe,
Yeah, no. Raging Bull. I mean, it's Scorsese, and not to downplay Ron Howard because I think Ron Howard's made some fantastic movies. But no, I thought
that's like top of the heap. Like Raging Bull's top of the heap.
Yes. The only thing, and we've talked about this before, the only thing about Cinderella Man that I think is a negative is the fact that they had to make They had to make the Max Baer a mean bastard when apparently in real life he wasn't. And
his son Max Baer Jr. got very angry about that. Well, for two reasons. I mean, Max Baer was Jewish, so right. if he really wasn't that way, Jews have enough problems with being stereotyped and
right.
having. And I think that's what plugged it with Max Baer Jr. People don't know. Yeah, he's the son. He played Jethro on the original Beverly Hillbillies, and he's also Jewish. So I don't blame him coming to his dad's aid on that. His dad's long passed away. So they did, people had to re-look into that to see if it was accurate. And you're right, it was not accurate. And it was one other movie I kind of stood out to, the Tom Hardy UFC one. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, yeah. Warrior.
Very sneaky good.
Yes, that's very good. Him and Jason Clarke, I think, is the guy who plays his brother, who's an excellent character actor. Yeah. No, I saw that.
It doesn't get a lot of talk, but I suggest people see it. I liked it.
Yeah. Okay, let's get started. We got a lot of things to talk about today. Hello, Hockey World. Today is Thursday, October 14th, 2021.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm a tired Michael Agello, and this is the Hockey Buzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com. All right, the breaking news that just occurred a few minutes ago. We have to start off with this. The final big restricted free agent of the 2021 offseason has finally inked a deal. Brady Kachuk and the Ottawa Senators, which I know that you and I both were maybe skeptical this could go the way of a Nylander.
I was a little worried. I have to be honest. I mean, there was no reason not to be, really.
But there appears to have been some compromise on both sides.
You can see it in the contract.
Well, yeah, the Sens got the term that they wanted. They wanted 7 or 8 years. They
wanted 8, but they settled for 7. That's the way I would say it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like they were open to 7 or 8, maybe because Kachuk was like really wanting 3.
Right, but I think they really did want 8. Kachuk would not have accepted 8 at the 8.21 AA.
No. I think
that's the key thing for me to say that's where the compromise had to start.
Yeah, I think it was on a scale, and if it was 8 years, it probably would have been closer to $9 million.
Correct.
But it was 7 years. The AAV is 8.2. I don't know how they come up with these numbers. 8.2. Excuse me. 8.208571. So okay, give me the 208,571 and take the flat 8 million, and everybody's happy. But apparently in this deal, no signing bonus, which that's a little surprising.
That's surprising. Again, all that tells me is the skeptical person in me says they made it so this contract in 3 or 4 years can be dealt.
Tradable. Yep. Very tradable.
It can be dealt because of the no. And again, he knows that, and they know that. And they're both okay with that. It's the ones with all these big signing bonuses where, then it becomes, a big problem to trade these guys. So even though he said he would sign this long-term deal he has, there's still no guarantee in 3 or 4 he isn't dealt.
Well, and more than likely, and I haven't seen the structure of the deal, I'm sure somebody who Elliot Friedman or Pierre Lebrun or Renaud Lavoie will have a breakdown of the payout on this deal. But I would bet that the first 2 to 3 years are relatively low because of the high escrow. Now, that feeds perfectly into what Ottawa will want because they'll pay low. And then when the money hits, say, 10 million or 11 million in the middle of the contract, that's probably when they'll trade them. Because
if they're not good and more solid by then. That's
right.
The clock is now officially ticking. Eugene Melnyk has said a lot of things over the years, but now the clock's ticking because of this and because of Stützle needing a deal in a couple of years. If by 3 years they haven't made much progress, then that's when you should start worrying as a Senators fan.
Yeah.
But you got a little soft cushion now for about 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's right. And I'll be anxious to see what the breakdown of the of the contract is. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We're going to do the review or the preview, excuse me, of the Central Division tomorrow when we have Kevin on the show, and Eck will be back. The other contract that was announced, it's not on Cap Friendly yet, but in terms of the breakdown, but it was announced late last night or early this morning that Ryan Pulock has signed an extension, an 8-year extension for $50 million with the Islanders. Now he was going into the final year of his current deal. He was a UFA, so it starts next year, and the AAV on that is about I think it's 6.25. 6.25. Now, Russ, okay, first on Pulock. I thought if he goes to free agency, he would get a lot more than that. So obviously he's comfortable with what's going on with the Islanders right now. Right hand, a big defenseman, big shot from the point. He fits in with that team and he likes the situation there.
Yeah, I mean, his skating's improved. His defense is good or good enough. He does have a physical side. I mean, I love this guy in the draft. I couldn't stop talking about him. I thought other teams could have drafted him before the Islanders, to be honest. The Islanders got a heck of a deal here. Now, I still think it's weird. Maybe it's just me, but why is it so weird that now, like, one of the first tweets I see is, hey, we got our top pairing. It's only costing us $12 million. Well, okay. But if you look at your top pairing, it's a good top pairing. But if I start counting how this top pairing ranks to other top pairings in the league, it's not the best. It's probably somewhere in the middle. And, there's nobody super dynamic on that top pairing, offensively or otherwise. Now, Pulock has one of the best shots in the league.
Right.
And so there is a chance of him scoring 15 goals any given year. But the idea is don't act like this is a super bargain in the sense that you've got the best pairing in the league, because you don't.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's the best pair. I don't think it's the best pairing in the league. But I mean, I think it's up there. I think it's, I mean,
I think it's in the top 10.
Yeah. I mean, I predicted the Islanders to come out of the East. So, so I think that, their defense is multifaceted, and, Pulock is going to be somebody with a big shot from the point on the power play that will be able to now, maybe Noah Dobson will have a larger role on the power play. Who knows? But the one, and I heard some people who say that, well, I mean, this was an overpayment.
No,
I look at his last 4 years consistently in the 30s, 32, 37, 35, all with 10 goals. 9 goals, 10 goals, 10 goals.
And we have to admit, if he was on a different team, he could be a little more offensive and probably have 15, 20 goals.
Maybe as a center point, feeding him the puck, sure. I mean, the power play for the Islanders runs through Barzal. It doesn't run through Pulock. Last year at 17 points in 56 games, which I think, by my rough estimation, calculates out to 30 points. So he's a 30 to 40 point defenseman. He's 27 years old. He signed through the age of 35.
Solid player, and again, has a physical side that he will bring out once in a while that does give him a little edge over some other guys that are just like the guys with a really good shot. Now,
there are reports that Charlie McAvoy is close to a deal with the Boston Bruins. I heard the number I heard was over 9.
Yeah, I heard people were talking about that over Chowda.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see what happens, because that would be unprecedented when it comes to the Bruins, because most of their players fall into that, okay, take a little less to play with the Bruins. Taylor Hall took $6 million, Pasternak 6.6. Everybody is under like $7 million, except for Rask and Chara, but those contracts are gone. If McAvoy gets that amount, then that's sort of unprecedented for the Bruins. That hasn't happened yet, or at least it hasn't been announced officially. The thing I drew, Russ, from the Pulock deal, and of course, I'm attuned to everything Toronto related, and we'll talk about the Leafs game last night. The Morgan Rielly situation, it's going to be front and center with the Leafs for most of the year. Maybe they try to negotiate during the year. Maybe they wait until after the season. But Dubas said before the season he was looking at the Parayko contract as sort of a model for Rielly. And if you started talking about Darnell Nurse, which was 9.5, I think, or 9.25, or Makar, which was 9, or Quinn Hughes, which was close to 8.
Yeah,
those were the comparables that the Leafs probably couldn't handle when it comes to Rielly. Now you've got a second contract. Not that Pulock and Rielly are a match. Not that Parayko and Rielly are a match. But I think that the Leafs, when it comes to him, it's going to be if they're going to sign Rielly, it's going to be closer to that amount. It's going to probably be in the low 7s. If it gets to 8.5 with the $40 million they're spending on the 4 core players,
a bridge too far.
That's a bridge too far. But I think that's
Rielly is a little better than Pulock. He is overall.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing: the 72-point career year that Rielly had is the outlier. It was a fantastic year. Yeah. He scored 20 goals. He'll never score that again.
No, and he'll never be in the position where they're gonna just hand him the entire power play, and he doesn't have to do all that penalty killing and everything else. They sort of, by the role they give him, make it so that he can't get 72 points, not because of contract, but just what they need, what the needs are.
Well, the power play runs through Marner and Matthews and Tavares, and Rielly is the facilitator who dishes the puck. Yeah, he had 52 points in 18. He had that 72-point aberration in 19, and then 27 and 47 games and 35 points in 55 games. He's a 40 to 45 point defenseman. So that means, right. Seth Jones is the other big ticket. We'll talk about him in a minute, because he did not have an auspicious beginning in his game against Colorado. But my point being, just and not to make this Leaf centric, but Rielly's the big name in UFA right now for next year. And if he's expecting to be paid in the stratosphere like that he's not coming back. But if he's reasonable and wants to stay in Toronto, which I think he does, then I think he's going to – not that he's had to take less. I think he's going to have to take what he's actually worth and not get overpaid.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think he will sign and stay with the Leafs. I really do believe that.
I'm leaning toward that. Now, I have to ask your opinion, because I was in Toronto watching the Leafs and the Habs, so I didn't get a chance to see. We saw the TNT broadcast in the preseason, and let's just say it was preseason for the broadcast.
It was beyond preseason, and they deserved to get what I said about them, because they held everything back. But now it's the better of the two broadcasts for a couple different reasons. Now,
last night you saw their broadcast. Apparently Charles Barkley was part of the broadcast and part of the the festivities last night. But what did you think of it?
I didn't care about the Barkley with Gretzky shooting on him. I didn't care about any of that. For me, it's like I had the sound off. It's not for me. Like I said to you offline, are they going to put Wayne Gretzky now on the TNT broadcast for basketball and have him shooting foul shots? No. So I don't care about that. What I did care about is guys like Bissonnette, who actually was talking X's and O's, something the ESPN didn't do. Basically, also, what's his name? Ance Carter doing a good job showing like the power play bumper and things like that. Things that just didn't even come up on the ESPN panel. And so I felt like they at least were attempting to break down the game and show us things that were working and not working. And there's a lot to talk about that didn't work for the Rangers for sure. And I thought that was good. I also felt like what I saw was a lot better, and I like the set and everything else. I know ESPN got the bigger number because they're going to. It's ESPN. They're a bigger network. but I do feel like TNT is doing a good job. And actually, using Gretzky in the game to talk about Ovechkin was fantastic.
Yeah, that was good.
To match up the audio on that because he's trying to be polite and not step on the guys in the booth, and they're doing the same. But it managed pretty well, and I enjoyed that.
Well, I don't know what happened with that there, but the first thing I thought when you told me that was the Eli and Peyton Manning thing with ESPN for Monday Night Football, that they're tapping into that idea. And I actually, that I'd be interested in listening to. I'm not interested in listening to Wayne Gretzky break down highlights. But if he's
and
I don't
honestly,
mind that. I don't mind that.
He didn't talk too much about himself. Like he said one good poignant thing. When Hendrix Lapierre got his first goal, he's like, "Hey, it took me 4 games to get my first goal."
Yeah,
that's good. That's always good.
I mean, the one thing I saw, guys, that I really liked was I may mention this. I don't know if you did just got in, but was the power play time on the ice thing that they had.
No, you mentioned that. That was good.
Do you know that? Like, I think that's wonderful. Like, I love that. Like, that's right between the circles.
Again, that's stealing from the NFL, but I'm okay with that because the NFL, the yellow line, I've seen like first and whatever or third and whatever on the field, superimposed on the field. So yeah, that's cool. I like those bells and whistles.
That was really nice because usually you're looking for that tiny little clock somewhere, on the screen, and that's I mean, you can find it, but it's definitely really nice when it's right there.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good broadcast. Now, as far as the actual game, I give Tom Wilson all the credit in the world because he has basically built the New York Rangers, and he's built them so that Washington can beat them now because they have a slow fourth line and guys like Sammy Blake who didn't read the new rule book and are still trying to run guys through from behind through the boards. Blake made his stamp on that game in a bad way. Gallant made his stamp on that game in the sense that he played those guys a lot, Reeves included. They didn't do anything. There was a fight, and it had nothing to do with Tom Wilson. Right. So I think Laviolette really outthought Gallant in this game, and I think the Rangers need to go back to the drawing board on the power play because they had Zibanejad deep on the power play. He should be playing the same spot as Ovechkin on the power play, up in the middle, either side, whatever side you want to. Usually it's the left side, I think, and left side if you're watching. And he's got a hammer. Like, he's got a freaking great shot. If he's down low, he can't shoot a one-timer. Like, I don't know what you're thinking. They kept going up high on that, and it made no sense.
I guess we've started already, but the actual show, right? Should we do an introduction, or are we good? We're just going, right?
No, we're in already.
We're in already.
Oh, you already started the actual show.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me say something about Georgiev playing. Like, what? Why?
Well, that's a good one, too.
Russ said that last night. He's like, why the hell are they starting Georgiev? And I'm like, because their opener is tonight against, I think, Dallas, Russ.
Yeah.
And they want to put Shesterkin at MSG at home.
All right, I get it.
Doesn't matter. I'm gonna say what I think needs to be said. The home crowd would be very happy with either guy in net because it's the first home game. You don't need to have every single guy in there to make them happy because they know it's going to be a good game. This is a divisional game. Hold on. This is a divisional game. We talked about this division being a buzzsaw, and you put the lesser of your two goalies in. And Georgiev didn't have a great year last year. You put the lesser of two guys in so you could play them at home, and you gave a game to the Caps who could beat you out for 2 points at the end of the year, where Dallas's game is mostly meaningless other than, it's 2 points, but it's not a division game.
And it's your home opener.
And it's your home. But it doesn't matter. It's your home opener. I want the 2 points more than I care about the home opener. And to be honest, the first game should have your starting goal. It really should.
In back-to-back games, every team now is going to play both their goaltenders, one in one game, one in the other, and essentially,
I think they made the wrong decision, though. That's all.
Right, but okay. So if they play Shesterkin and they lose to the Capitals, then they're having Georgiev, who's the worst of the two goaltenders, playing in your home opener against a Dallas team that went to the Cup 2 years ago.
The Capitals points are way more important, though. I mean, the Capitals points are way more important.
The Capitals game is 100 times more important.
Yeah, giving the Capitals 2 points like that is what you don't want to do. Like, it's a 4-point game for them. It's very big. It's a big difference. That they're going to be battling the Capitals, for playoff positioning. It's just not. And really more than anything else, Russ, it is just like the first game of the season, the starting goalie wants to play. I mean, I'm sure he was just
it's
sure
your new
kind of
coach,
pissed
it's
off,
your new team. How do you not have that guy out there?
And it made a huge difference. I mean, I think I think overall last night, goaltending was the story, honestly. And in your game, Mike, especially.
Well, it was okay. Yeah, I mean,
we're ready to move. We're ready to move to that one. Before that, we do have to talk about Ovechkin a little bit too, because that was just
right. I was gonna say he tied Marcel Dion for 5th all time.
Yeah.
I think it's 731 goals. Honestly, I'll make the prediction. I think he's catching Gretzky. I think he is.
I don't think he is.
Unless he gets hurt, he's catching Gretzky. I mean, the reality is injuries, but he's going to score. I remember in my wacky predictions, this year I put Austin Matthews would getting 65, and I think I was going to say 60. I should have said 60, but I was going to because 60 is even unbelievable. But I just really thought, but Ovechkin's going to score 65 goals. I mean, honestly, the reality is he is so focused in on this thing. It's become it's become way bigger now, and he's going to be crazy. He's going to get this in 4 seasons, which is I think pretty impressive. If he does it 100 and he's 180 behind, right? You do that in 4 seasons.
If he does it, it's a lot.
It's a lot to do that, but you just get the feeling that he's
driven by it.
He's driven by it.
Yeah, but he was already limping in preseason. It's a real. I'm telling you. When it gets to be like game 60, game 60 of each of these seasons, he's got an older body. He has a chance, there's no question, but I think it's going to be hard. But I will say this about Dion. He, putting on the caps and everything. It was great. And I give TNT credit for actually giving Dion really the kudos that he deserves, because he's almost a forgotten great player in this league.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, switching teams, didn't win a cup. Whatever you want to say.
It's you know what it was, Russ? It was the fact that at that point when he went from Detroit to LA was like being in Timbuktu.
Yeah.
Not until Gretzky went to LA and all the focus went on the West Coast, and that spurred the West Coast expansion in the league. You got a chance to see Dion, Simmer, and Taylor, the Triple Crown line, once a year when they came to Buffalo or they came to Toronto. So yes, he is a great player.
No, and it's just the other stat that I heard. Did you hear the stat about 150 multiple point games? Which Ovechkin became, that was his 150th multiple point game in his career. There's only 3 other players that have done that.
Gretzky.
Can you name them?
Gretzky.
Right.
Gretzky, yeah. I'm going to go Brian Trottier.
Nope.
Mario.
Messier. I'm going to go Messier.
Nope, Messier's not it. So Gretzky and Lemieux are the 2 obvious ones. This next one is, I'm surprised by it, but I guess in retrospect,
Is it somebody in our lifetime?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Big time. Not playing anymore, but
right.
But definitely somebody in our lifetime, and definitely somebody that we watched live, and more of a goal scorer. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Which is surprising because usually, you
Bossy.
get not bossy. No. No, it's
actually I see the answer. I'm surprised at the answer because I wanted to see.
Yeah.
How many of these games Gretzky had, and he's had 189.
189.
Anthony in the chat is saying Mike Gartner.
Nope.
No.
It's
a guy we should get, but I would
not
have
get him. But it's kind of surprising because usually goal scorers are not the ones who are going to get multiple point games.
That's why.
Yager.
Nope.
All right, give it.
All right, it'll be Brett Hull.
Yeah.
Okay. Tony Soprano,
like 151 or 2 or something like that. It's pretty close, right, Russ?
I'll also tell you that misnomer in this one is having Gordie Howe 5th because the NHL is still blind to anything Gordie Howe did outside of the NHL, which is unfair because any league you put Gordie Howe in that he scored multiple point games would have been good in any league.
Yeah,
and the fact that they still have Gordie Howe listed 5th on that is just wrong.
Where does he come out to, like on the in point totals? I mean, I'm sure we've done before, but if you add his WHA
points right now, Gordie Howe, without counting the other leagues, are 1,850.
Right, that's a big number. But with the WHA, I wonder. It's a big number. All right, let's move on to on then.
Just to give you an example, Mark Messier only beat him by 37 points.
Right.
Gordie Howe's statistics with the if you combine the two would be 975 goals between the WHA and the NFL and 2,358 points.
Wow. 2,300
I
points.
think it should hold. I honestly, I don't.
Yeah,
No,
23.
I mean, there were some bad people in WHA. I mean, that's like.
But it wasn't.
There
It was a professional league.
It was a professional league.
But and you know, you can say there are bad players in it too. We can also say that the era that Gretzky played in was so much more.
Okay,
open.
so are you going to tell me if Gordie Howe didn't play his entire career in the NHL, that he still would have had more, at least the same amount of goals as Gretzky and over 2,000 points? I think he
would have been close. I guess. No, he definitely would have gotten 2,000 points. I think. I do.
Yeah,
I do. I don't. Maybe not 2,200, but 2,000. Yeah, for sure.
And it would only add 110 points to Gretzky's totals because he had 104 points.
All right, he also played WHA. That's true.
All right,
but here's a good example though. Hold on. So Gretzky had 104 points. What did he have his first NHL year?
137.
So what's the difference there, Eck?
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, the difference is what 18 to 19-year-old or whatever it was.
No, right. But I'm just saying, if we're going to talk about these leagues and say it's
you're right. No, you're right.
You can't count it.
But they never will because it's a.
But 104 points were in how many games, Mike? Were that in the WHA?
It was total was 110 points because he had 6 points with Indianapolis that year. 110 points in 80 games.
Wow. Okay, there you go. So he's pretty much the same rate that he scored.
It's a legit number, and then he improved on that the next year.
Yeah, no, it's a very good argument. It's really interesting.
It is a good argument.
All right.
So I think USFL stats should count. Doug, Dan Danimal in the chat room. USFL.
Yeah, I do too.
I love the USFL. I was a big fan of that league. Anyway, all right, moving on to the game you were at, Mike, because this game, there are games that goalies steal games, and this no question was a game that was like that because Campbell was amazing, and and Montreal came out like a bat out of hell. Like the Montreal Canadiens that first period. I'm like, holy hell, we all screwed up on thinking the Canadiens were good.
Okay.
Just let me. I know you don't want to give the Canadiens credit, but there was like a lot of to me the way they came out flying, and Campbell just made some fantastic saves. That should have been 3-0.
Well,
at the end of that period.
The Canadiens tried to throw a knockout punch.
Yeah.
In the first 10 minutes of the first period, and the Leafs, the way they were playing defense, were like Glass Joe from the box, sticking out his jaw. But ding. But Campbell was really good. Drouin scored that one goal. The Leafs came right back and got the tying goal less than 3 minutes later. And then it was pretty much a nip and tuck battle.
Yeah.
But the big key in that game was in the third period when two of the worst penalty calls I've seen in recent memory, where neither Leaf player actually tripped the Montreal player, but they were called for 2 tripping penalties. Gave almost 2 minute 5-on-3. Campbell made a couple good saves. A couple players made a couple good blocks. And from that point on, the Canadiens really didn't threaten to tie the game. They're going to get some points with Allen, but if Allen is their number one and he plays 55 or 60 games, they're in trouble because he's not Carey Price. And tonight, like Montreal's playing in Buffalo, they're going to play Samuel Montembeault against the Leafs. Against the Sabres, excuse me. And maybe they get 2 points out of that because they're so much better than Buffalo. But you're not. If this is the whole season for Price, this is the reason why I picked Montreal to finish 5th because they have talent. And Suzuki and Caulfield were very present yesterday, but they don't have enough talent to cover up the inadequacies of goaltending that I think is average then.
Well, I think they're I mean, neither team was back checking at all in the first period of that game. It was it was just craziness. It did tighten up. But also if Anderson plays like this the whole year, he's a factor. Like that's the other thing about him. Like he's on and off, he gets hurt a lot. Man, when he is on his game, he becomes a major factor. But and I also thought I really was impressed, with the center they got from Phoenix. Sorry, I'm losing my mind for a second.
Oh, for Dvorak.
For Dvorak, I was really impressed with Dvorak. He looked really solid. He was one of the few guys back checking.
He's going to be solid, but he's not going to be a massive point guy is the point.
He's not going to be a massive point guy, but that's okay if Anderson does that. Because if they have Anderson, Caulfield, and Suzuki flying around like that, they're going to get goals. I mean, and their defense stepping up in the play really nicely, which they did. They're going to score.
As I wrote last week for Hockey Buzz about the Leafs season, and you expect a certain level out of that core four group, out of Nylander, Tavares, Matthews, Marner. You accept that as that's the straight line of what you're going to get. Where they need to have success is the players that they brought in the offseason and whether they can contribute. And last night, I'll tell you right now, Ilya Mikheyev is probably crying in his soup because he's never getting back in the top six. Nick Ritchie played pretty decently on the top line. That might only be better when Matthews comes. But Michael Bunting playing with Kerfoot and Nylander made a couple great passes, was pretty decent defensively, and was feisty. They're never getting him out of the top six unless he makes some bad errors.
Yeah.
And you need those secondary contributors. They got a goal on Pierre Engvall. David Kampf is offensively is 0, but defensively he was over 60% in the faceoff circle and killing penalties really well. They got contributions from their secondary players, and that's really important.
Right. No, it's true. And I liked, I thought Marner looked pretty good in the game. And I thought Tavares. I mean, the guys that looked good, looked good. I thought Brody had a rough night.
Yes, he did.
And especially trying to keep up with Caulfield. Like Caulfield was making Brody look like a pylon at times. He was really flying around him.
So, Eck, we do have some
we have breaking
Flyers roster issues to discuss.
We have to get to the breaking news too. Before we get to the other games, we really should talk about the breaking news, which today is Keith Kachuk. You guys talked about at the beginning.
We already mentioned it. Brady Kachuk.
I'll let you guys go back.
Your 2 cents if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
My 2 cents on it. How could this not have gotten done earlier? Like this is not a crazy deal. Like this is something that should have gotten done. I mean, this is somebody caved on this, and my guess is it's Kachuk. Because I heard Kachuk wanted more than that.
We definitely would have wanted more if it was 8 years for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a really it's a good contract. It just really screws them up by like not having it done earlier. Like you wanted to have him in camp. The whole vibe of the whole team.
Does that mean you're not going to pick them for 8th place now?
I mean, if he had signed before the beginning of camp, they wouldn't be in 8th place. Now they'd be in 7th. But I think, but now with you guys will see. You guys laugh and laugh and laugh. I can't wait. I can't wait to like hold the recording of when Buffalo finishes 6th. I can't wait.
Yes, get that recording ready, man.
Pigs will fly.
Yeah, right. We'll see. But so they, this is a big. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to be till he plays again with them. I mean,
Russ seems to think it's going to be seven.
Yeah, I think it could be a week. I don't think he's in Ottawa.
He's not in Ottawa, but that's not hard to get to. And you can drive to Ottawa from.
He's got to get everything together. He's got to get past the COVID stuff. He can't just walk into the arena. He has to. There is a waiting period for that.
Yeah,
I would think he would miss at least the first couple games, which, by the way, are Toronto back to back, or not, or home and home. But stranger things have happened.
Yeah,
we'll see. I mean, here's why I don't think that. Okay. So let's talk about the Flyers for a minute, because here's what they're going through. Right. So Zach McEwen just gets traded to him and has been granted non-roster status because his visa isn't approved.
Right.
So they pick up a guy on waivers. They use up their 50th contract slot, and now they have to wait on him. So that's one. Okay.
Man.
So then Patrick Brown is now in COVID protocol. And he's unavailable. They just picked him up the other day. Now, if you want my guess on that one, one would be, where was he playing? Who was he in contact with? After they questioned him, if he wasn't quarantining at home, whatever, until he got signed, then they can't just throw him into the general population of the league. So he has to do that. And that's what I'm saying with Kachuk. If Kachuk has just been around a lot of other people, I don't see how they could just throw him into the team like that when they've not been doing that.
Yeah, me too. I agree with you.
Yeah, so Patrick Brown is unavailable. So now Max Willman is starting on the fourth line, and Nick Seeler, it's Jackson Cates, Nick Seeler, Max Willman, they've all come up. And my thing with this is, and you know me, I always want to give prospects as much time as they need in Lehigh. But I think Morgan Frost showed in that first preseason game that he played there, getting 3 points, that he doesn't need any more time there. And the fact that they're putting all of these guys in the lineup rather than Morgan Frost is incredible to me.
It feels like there's something else behind the scenes, but I keep asking people, and there's not. You know, like they keep just saying no. They just want him to play some games in the AHL. Okay, but you know, I mean, honestly,
Ristolainen's up is day to day. He may not play the opener.
Sure. I mean, for you, I mean, for you to say it, Russ, is like that. You definitely wait for people.
I always want to wait.
But you know, he does look ready, and to me, he's. I mean, he was ready. He would have been had he not gotten hurt last year. This wouldn't be an issue. He would have played.
We wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah, he'd be like, you know, Farabee, and they would just be part of the lineup. But the fact is, he's sitting there. I don't know.
Russ, did I misunderstand? Are they playing Seeler at 4?
No. The Seeler would take Ristolainen's spot, but these are the guys that are calling up.
Okay.
But Seeler would take the spot of Ristolainen, which is a great substitution, Mike, as you know.
Well, no, I mean, unless AP has gone insane, he's probably gonna have Seeler on the bottom pairing and move up. You know, but
here's the other thing. I did talk about this offline with Anthony yesterday, and I'll mention it in the frame of the show. I don't want Ristolainen, because he's put on a Flyers jersey, to think he has to hit everything that moves now. Yes, he has this occasional mean streak, and yes, he occasionally plays physical, but I don't, and I think he overdid it a little. I'm not saying that's why he's hurt. I'm just saying guys put on the Flyers jersey and they feel like all of a sudden they've got to be more physical than they are. And Mike, you know him as good as anybody.
Yeah.
He was probably doing more hitting in preseason than he did half of last year.
I think he wants to prove that, because he's a big rugged defenseman. That's been his reputation in Buffalo, and I think in Buffalo over the last few years, because he was overplayed. He was played like, you know, a couple years there, he was like averaging 25, 26 minutes a night because the rest of their defense sucked so bad.
Yeah.
So now I think he probably wants to make up for lost time, in a sense of he's only can play 20 minutes a night, so he can step up his physical play a little more. But you can get caught out of position if you do that. So you're exposing yourself in a way.
Yep.
So at this point, I was a little out of this thing. Is Ristolainen is not going to play?
I didn't say he's not playing, but it's day to day, and it looks like Ellis is practicing now because he was day to day because he blocked the shot. But Ristolainen now they're saying upper body, so we have to assume it's something with the head or like the shoulder. And so I do think if I had to put a percentage on it, I don't think it's good that he plays first game. That's all I'm saying.
Right. No, definitely.
And they called up Sealer, so that pretty much tells you with the situation that the Flyers are in, money wise and otherwise, even with Hayes on LTIR, they didn't save a ton, but they saved some. That they probably feel it's a long shot for Ristolainen to play, and that's why they're bringing up the defenseman, because they don't have a lot of maneuverability on their roster.
Do Phantoms have a game? Do the Phantoms have a game tonight or Friday night? They probably do.
I don't know, but they don't care about that.
They probably do. Yeah, I mean, if they don't have a game at all, then bringing them up doesn't really do that much.
Right.
I thought the AHL started on Saturday.
Okay.
Preseason, I don't know when.
No, the regular season starts the 16th. I think it's. I'm pretty sure.
16th. Oh, this
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how this plays out. But
I mean, here's what I think, though. This is another thing I was talking about with Anthony. We were kind of both thinking based on somebody having a last-minute COVID test or something else go wrong, it's still a couple-hour drive, or 45-minute drive, I guess, from that rink to Lehigh, at least in the best of circumstances.
Oh, it's way more than that.
Yeah, it's probably an hour and change, right?
An hour and a half at least. I mean, because that's like I'm a 45-minute drive, and you got to go past me.
So. Okay, so based on that, they may have to keep somebody constantly scratched and not playing for Lehigh just in case.
Yeah.
On a home game.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's a little bit bizarre. I don't know I wonder if it's just. I don't know. I have not gotten anything. I mean, Cam York is, that's another run you could have maybe thought about bringing up, but they're not going to do that yet.
They're not doing that yet. I get why they're not doing it with him.
Yeah, but there's certain guys in this situation that I don't know.
Oh, it might be different in a week. If Ryan Ellis goes back on the injured, Cam York.
Yeah, then Cam York could be. They may have to bring up Cam York at some point there. Let's move on to the team that they're going to be Flyers are going to be playing on Friday night. That's the Vancouver Canucks and the Vancouver Canucks Oilers game.
Yeah,
which was a good game. I watched a lot of it. And I was impressed with the Oilers. I was really impressed with Puljujarvi, who really looked good throughout the game. And he's a factor now. Like if he's going to be that good, and he's going to play with Draisaitl and McDavid a lot. That is definitely, he's big, he's strong, he makes smart plays.
Well, okay, here is the issue that I have with the Oilers again, is the fact that they cannot. It's like a drug that Dave Tippett is addicted to, that he's got to put Draisaitl and McDavid together. The way you maximize your talent is to have them on different lines. And last night, now on the power play, fine, you put your best five players out there. You put Draisaitl and McDavid out there, and the other team shuts them down, like Winnipeg did in the playoffs last year. Yeah. You're toast. And you went out in free agency and you increased the depth at forward. You bring in Zach Hyman. You put Zach Hyman on one line with Draisaitl. You put Nugent Hopkins on the other line with McDavid, or whatever line combinations you want. But once you put both of them together, it's all your eggs in one basket. And against a team like Vancouver, who I think is defensively challenged, maybe it works. But in the end, it's just dumb. It really is.
There's so many. There's definitely the two chains of thought with that. When you listen to even like guys on the NHL Network and stuff like that, half of them say they should play together, half of them say they shouldn't play together. I'm kind of with you, Mike. I lean more towards not playing them together for sure, but they love playing them together. So
sure,
the reality is
it's addictive.
They seem to think that they have enough depth now around. I mean, Hyman looked good. He looked really nice. It was a really good goal that he scored, and
he's a good player.
Yeah, I liked how it was described, though. I forget who was describing on the NHL Network when they were describing the goal he scored, which was really smart. I know it was actually, anyway, somebody they were breaking down the play. It was forget it. I can't think of it. I'm losing my mind. Anyway, they're breaking down the play that Hyman scores, and this guy's saying, as a player, I would have gone in front of the net at that point when the pass comes across, to Draisaitl. I would have gone and gone to the net, gone in front of the net. They're expecting to make a screen for Draisaitl's shot, but Hyman's played with smart enough guys all the time that he backs off and he knows that he can go over here and accept the shot, which was rough. It was really true. It's a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, and just to answer Funky, yes, Funky, and how the hell did that work? They lost.
Yeah,
that's the point. You shut down that line and you're done. And
there's only one puck. The reality is, right? There's only one puck, and
don't say that it can't be done, because Winnipeg did it in the playoffs last year. They shut down McDavid and Draisaitl, and that was it.
I mean, and honestly, the best example of it done the other way is Pittsburgh, right, with Malkin and Crosby, because they don't play them together. On occasion, they put them together to just if they need to create some kind of extra power, but they usually don't play Malkin and Crosby together, right? And there's a temptation to play them together as well, but they don't do it. So the reality is that.
Now, Russ, I know Canuck fans will be encouraged by the fact that Ekman Larsson scored his first goal yesterday, and he played 23 minutes, not as much as Hughes, but close.
That's also a good start. That's good. Well, you got to wait. I mean, all of this, you have to wait. I would love to be able to trumpet every rookie's first great game for, all of them, McTavish, all of them, but I wait. I don't ever want to jump too much into it. Although I will say, and I'm going to go with Tony Soprano's word on this, he said that Gibson stole the game for Anaheim yesterday, but I'm still worried about the Winnipeg offense. I am.
Yeah. And Mason McTavish got his first NHL goal.
He got 2 points.
He got 2 points. So I know that was a little disappointing, because I know there are a lot of people out there that think Winnipeg is sort of the dark horse team to come out of the West, and to sort of drop the ball against Anaheim, there's not a lot of expectations from them.
I'll tell you what I think it is, and this is where they're going to have to make a big decision, and if Pete Tessier is listening, he'll probably smile. I think they're finally tuning out Paul Maurice.
Yeah.
It's possible. Now,
I think it's very possible.
I wanted to touch on this game because the Blackhawks, with all the moves that they made in the offseason, and I picked them to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
The one area of that team that I have been railing on is their blue line. And yes, you too, Russ. And Seth Jones in his debut with the Blackhawks was not impressive. Connor Murphy was Connor Murphy. And they
scored a goal though.
He scored a goal, right? Great. Actually, I think he was on the ice for 2 of them. It's like
but he didn't look that bad. I mean, watched a lot of that game.
He's the most puzzling guy because the Blackhawk organization seems to love him.
Yeah,
and he was -1 yesterday. Seth Jones was -2,
right.
But Seth Jones played 20. Here you go, Russ. Seth Jones played 28 minutes.
Yeah, that's a problem.
No, they're gonna load him up like that. I mean, this was a bizarre game because Colorado just comes out and makes a statement, puts that 3-0 before you can blink. Honestly, the way it ended up was Chicago played pretty well from that point on. I mean, it really was one of those games that Colorado just was ready to go. Like they were going to make a statement. I mean, when Jack Johnson was on the breakaway,
minutes a game, Mac. He won't survive.
He can't play on 20 minutes.
If you want to hasten the retirement of Marc-Andre Fleury, play games like that what happened last night because he was left hung out to dry. I mean, when Jack Johnson does a Wayne Gretzky on you at the deep, I mean, he was left wide open. I felt sorry for Fleury. He was talking to himself after a couple of those goals.
And Bowen Byram scored. He had a big game.
Yeah, no, I mean, Bowen Byram.
We've all been pretty high on him. So
you couldn't really blame Fleury for either of the first 2 goals, to be honest. I mean,
no, I'm saying he was hung out to dry.
Yeah, he really was. I mean, the third one.
But this is the point. Getting Fleury was a big deal, but it didn't necessarily make him a playoff team with that defense in front of him.
But after that, Fleury was really good, and the reality is we can all get the Colorado, a team that's incredibly frustrated that lost in the playoffs last year and is really angry, comes out playing angry in their home opener, and you either weather the storm or you don't. They didn't weather the storm.
Jared Bednar probably fired him up a
judge
little.
Chicago on this situation. I mean, I think this is way too early to judge Chicago.
Yeah, Nazem Kadri always plays angry. That's why he's always suspended in the playoffs.
Listen, that was a big reason they failed last year. If he's around, they'll go further. That's for sure.
Yeah, but he's never around. It's been 3. It's been 3 playoff or 3 years, not in a row, but 3 of the last 4 playoff years that he's done that stupidity. So do I give him benefit of the doubt? No, I'm surprised Colorado didn't trade his ass.
No, they need these 2
good. I mean, trade him, Mike.
Sure, you can.
He is a good player. I mean,
I'm not saying he's
that role.
I'm
not saying he's not a good player, but you need that good player to be around when it counts.
Right. But you also need guys all the time, you need guys in the regular season too. And he does. And right now, he's on their top line and filling in for McKinnon until McKinnon's off of COVID, that's where he played last night.
I mean,
they don't win that game without him.
Yeah, they don't. He scores a big goal. And also, he looked really good. I mean, the shots on goal in that game were 36-34 in favor of Colorado. It's not like this game was crazy. And, the reality
I never want to go with shots, though, is the reason. You know me. But I get it.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that there were definitely
you watched
a lot more. I mean, Pulock he's really, really good player. And it's he's
a good one-dimensional player, though. And then
he is, but that one dimension, he does really well.
He does, but that's the problem, that those forwards on that team, not a lot of them back check. Not a lot of them play defense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's definitely true. I mean, the defense that Chicago's forwards play is pretty much non-existent. I mean, Kirby Dach had led the team with 5 shots on goal. That was also impressive. To me. He looked good too. He had a couple really good chances. Yeah, but Taves looked okay, but I really think that but in the preseason, Taves looked really good at times. So it's hard to say.
I think he'll have ups and downs because he's not used to playing these games. And one conditioning in preseason is probably not enough. The other thing I wanted to mention that I noticed in teams, and I also think this is why they're doing what they did with the Rangers goaltenders. So last year, 56-game season, was different in the sense that every game was really magnified and every game was worth a lot more, right? Now that they're back to 82, it feels like teams have sort of like exhaled a little bit and said, all right, look, every game's important, but not like it was last year. Right. So, now we don't have to watch certain things as closely as maybe we did last year.
I agree.
I do get that feeling.
Yeah, I think so too. Actually, another guy in Chicago that played really well, I thought, and he's a defenseman, was Calvin DeHaan. I thought he looked really good too in that game, and
if he's healthy, he's a decent defenseman.
He blocked 6 shots. He blocked 6 shots.
But he's never healthy. He hasn't bit healthy the last, I think, 4 years. I mean,
I agree.
I'm going to call you in January. I'm going to give you a phone call. I'm going to ask you if Calvin DeHaan's playing that night.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. I mean, there's no question. I mean, Kadri.
Put it in my book now so that I call you. January 2nd, I'm going to call you.
Kadri led the Colorado Avalanche with shot on goal too.
And Russ, at that point, Jack Johnson will still have 1 goal.
Yeah, probably. And James Neal would have had like 5 at the beginning of the year and not scored since.
Yeah, I mean, I do think we have to give some time. We have to give both the Hawks and obviously the Jets are not going to. The Jets did struggle. I am not.
Listen, the Jets get no break from me because they've been a team that they should have been able to figure them out the last couple of years. If for some reason they do fall off this year, they get no break out of me. The Hawks, sure, I'll give them time to gel. The Winnipeg Jets, no way, man.
No, I agree. I agree with that. And I'm just not like, there are so many people. It's amazing to me how many people are on the Jets bandwagon right now. And I think they're going to struggle to make the playoffs, to be honest.
I don't think they're going to make it. I have them out.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that tomorrow. We'll be doing this division.
Winnipeg out.
No.
Yeah, I have them out right now too, but
I have them sneak preview, folks. I have them second in the Central.
Yeah, they are people are really hot or cold on them. There's no like middle ground. It feels like.
Well, you're a Connor Hellebuyck hater or X, so we know that you don't.
I mean, it doesn't take much. We'll say that.
You think that the U.S. are going to lose to Latvia because Hellebuyck is the goalie.
U.S. is going to lose Latvia just because. I'm not a Connor Hellebuyck hater. It's really kind of unfair. I'm not.
You're skeptic. I think you're a skeptic of every American goaltender. It's like you're not a big John Gibson fan. You don't like Connor Hellebuyck.
Ecky's just trying to say he doesn't hate any player, but he really dislikes them.
No. I think Hellebuyck and his .818 save percentage is really strong right now. I think
wow.
I'll just say you'll see where it goes.
Hateful comment right there.
Take Thomas Greiss over him. Carter Hutton. They're all better than.
No, of course not. No,
let's got out of there so he doesn't have to deal with Hellebuyck anymore.
Why don't we finish with this? Because Russ already gave his opinion of the TNT broadcast. The report was that it was
favorable.
Yeah, the goal. I didn't see it, so I can't judge. The Golden Knights Kraken game on ESPN averaged 782,000 viewers last night. Apparently, Gary Bettman said, I don't know if this was after that or before that. He says if ESPN is as good as promoting our game as they have been by burying it the last year, which was a great. That's a great
line.
Which is definitely Gary Bettman at his best that's why NHL fans should not boo this guy, man. He is like. That's a hockey quote right there. That's definitely a person who knows how hockey's been screwed over and over again.
He can say it now because they've signed on the dotted line. Like, hey.
And I'll say this about that. So I watched the end, that game that we talked about yesterday, that Seattle game. I stayed up to the very end of, which is rare for me to make it to the end of a late game. I have to say.
I almost made it. I made 2 periods out of it.
Last night I didn't make it all the way, but that I did manage to because it was exciting. That game was exciting, and I even watched SportsCenter right after it. And the beginning of SportsCenter was the NHL, followed by
They said the Las Vegas Knights. They left out Golden.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to happen.
Las Vegas, not Vegas.
Followed by
Vegas. They said Las Vegas Knights.
They put them on before the baseball playoffs, which was like, and anybody who's watched SportsCenter knows that that's astonishing, right? So that
was good. I agree.
They are all in.
That's a one-shot deal. Believe me, by December, it'll be at the 28 after the commercial from My Pillow.
No, the winter meetings will be ahead of that.
I don't disagree with that. So yeah, as far as the broadcast goes in general so far, I mean, I'm gonna let's give them time. Let's give them time.
No, I liked it. I thought what they did with Gretzky, putting him in there, having him talk about Ovechkin and the goals and everything, that was greit.
I think Wayne is better. I think Wayne is better at this than like Messier and Chelios are.
He is better at it than Messier. And I thought that Bissonnette actually talking about, the F3 and the F1, that's really good. People can learn from that. Yeah. And they weren't there doing that on ESPN. And again, Nancy Carter, I brought up, was talking about like the bumper on the power play and things like that. Things that, if you're not a big hockey fan, you could actually learn some things from instead of all these just cliches and showing old video footage. There was a lot more to learn from the TNT broadcast, I felt.
Yeah. No, I agree. I totally
and
agree.
That was positive for me.
It was, and I think they were better than than ESPN in some ways. The thing that's really frustrating though is for example, nowhere in America was Montreal Toronto on last night.
Yeah, it was on ESPN Plus.
It was on ESPN Plus, okay, but that's not a cable station, right? It's a streaming station. So
yeah.
So that that game needs to be on. ESPN has ESPN 1, 2, 3, 4, however many ESPNs have.
They're not going to get it. They split up the game so much that
was frustrating because NBC would always have that game on somewhere. They would have
ESPN Plus is basically Game Center Live.
Yeah, that's and I was telling Russ
that's the issue.
I was telling Russ this morning, like driving back from Toronto, I was able to access the Edmonton Vancouver game on ESPN Plus, and just using normal phone reception, I was able to get so that's the plus with ESPN that their app is you can access it readily, and it's but the problem is that all they're doing really is co-opting Sportsnet or at TSN's broadcasts. That's all they're doing.
But that's all.
No, that's fine. I'm saying that's fine. But what I'm saying is they're not. The only thing that they're doing above and beyond the normal is their ESPN games. Everything else they're co-opting. So they're for whatever.
Not the Justin Bieber interlude that I missed.
Oh, darn. I was.
Did you watch that?
I was breathless when I saw it, Russ.
Did you see
funny commercials? Like there actually are some funny commercials.
The commercials will be good. Forgetting that, did you see the Justin Bieber interlude though? Talking about Sports Center and his love of hockey and
Yeah. I mean, I do want to comment on the Toronto Maple Leafs intro music as they're introducing their players, because at least on where I was, you couldn't hear the way it was being broadcast on. This is on Sportsnet, so I was watching it on Sportsnet, right? The way it's being broadcast on Sportsnet, the volume of that techno funky thing that's going on underneath was way too loud, compared to the crowd. Because I'm imagining the fans are cheering for these players as they're getting introduced, because I know what introductions are usually like. But instead, you really just heard the bump.
They cheered, but it was me. Believe me, they were bombarded with techno and hip hop for most of before the intro, and the only thing that
$20 chicken sandwiches.
The only thing that I thought was pretty good is a Canadian band called the Arkells did a little like a minute and 30 intro.
But it looked like it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was a good song, and their Leaf fans are from the Toronto area. It was really good.
I gave them credit because I felt like when ESPN did All Time Low, who I'm a fan of, that was good because they have a recent hit. They're still a popular band. I felt like the Leafs were trying to do that for a regular broadcast. I give them credit for that.
Yeah, but please, and again, I'm the wrong demographic. During the TV timeouts, can we get away from the Kanye or the Weekend, and just give us some, give old farts like me some, give me some Tragically Hip or some Rush or something like that, please. I pray.
They are really tweaked out. It's like touch the monkey, feel the monkey music up there.
Yeah, you get that on retro night only, Mike. That's it.
It was really frustrating. I mean, and Austin Matthews, man, in his pinstripe suit, looking dapper as always. But but the intros in general were just like, oh my gosh.
I got to run though, guys. I got something going.
All right, go ahead, go for it.
All right,
Mike, they were rough. I thought.
No, in person they weren't. I was not like underwhelmed by them.
Were the crowd was loud, right? They were loud.
The crowd was loud for some, for certain players, Morgan Rielly and Matthews was cheered when he was on the bench because he didn't play.
Yeah,
but
it's incredible how like the first 6 guys they introduced were like from within, like felt like they grew up within 10 miles of the arena. Like they were talking about where they're from, and it was amazing. Like they go through all these guys,
Well, the first one, Justin Hall's from Tonka Bay, Minnesota. So
right, not him, right? But then after that, they got into like it really.
Yeah, Muzzin was from Woodstock, Ontario, and Marner's from Thornhill, Ontario.
They go through all the Ontario people, and then someone's from Mississauga in there too. One of the first 4 guys we introduced, one of the first 4 or 5 guys was from Mississauga. Which is pretty, that is cool to see, and how they, I love when players go back and play for their home team. I think it's a great thing. It's just it's to me as a kid, like, isn't that something we all wanted to do? Like that's what you really want to be able to do. So it's got to be cool to be able to actually do it. That was really something. So anyway, all the time we have for today, folks. Tonight, great games, Mike. What are we looking at here? Let's just real quickly go through them.
Oh, we got the Sabres opening up their auspicious season against the Montreal Canadiens. We've got
that's a win for Buffalo. Buffalo's going to take the win. Anyway.
Okay, we've got Leafs Ottawa in Ottawa.
I'll give Toronto that one. Mm-hmm.
Yes, especially with Kachuk not playing, and neither is Matt Murray playing. But the Senators always play the Leafs tough, so don't.
Yeah.
Penguins Panthers and
Panthers going to win that one. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'll go with that. Stars Rangers. I'll pick the Rangers.
Dallas is better than people think, but I think the Rangers have to bounce back after last night. They will.
Islanders Hurricanes. This game,
big game. Good game.
OT.
Battle for the top of the division. I'm going to say Carolina because it's in Carolina.
Yeah, I'll say OT. So that means
I'll go OT Carolina. I like that.
Mm-hmm. You said that was a battle of the top. Battle of the bottom. Coyotes Blue Jackets.
Yeah, this is almost as exciting as the Coyotes Sabres game that they're advertising all the time on NHL Network. That's coming up at noon on Saturday. I know this because it's mentioned all the time on the NHL Network.
It's the battle for the Shane Wright sweepstakes.
Buffalo comes into Arizona. I'm like, whoa, man. First of all, 2 teams that have no rivalry whatsoever, like no connection really to each other.
They have a rivalry. They fought over who was going to get the lower draft pick.
Right, that's what they're right. Columbus. Columbus is going to kill them in this game. But here's the thing about it, because I think that there's going to be a brief. This is my prediction for Columbus, folks. Remember this. There's going to be a brief moment where Columbus is good in the first 4 or 5 games of the season, where Voracek and Line are clicking. Like there's going to be Voracek's a good passer, and he's going to get it going, and they're going to be fired up to do it, but it's not going to last forever.
Lightning and Red Wings. I'll pick Tampa.
Yeah, I mean Tampa can't go 0-2, right? Coming out of the gate. But at the same time, Detroit home openers. Detroit's pretty good home openers usually. So I still got to go with Tampa. Too much.
The Kraken will get their first win at Nashville.
Yeah, I wouldn't put a saber-toothed tiger against an octopus in any situation. I think no, but I'm going to go with Nashville. I think Nashville's taking this one because the Predators, again, another home opener team that's usually very good on their home openers. So,
and finally, the Golden Knights and the LA Kings.
LA's going to take it.
Vegas.
I think Vegas. All right, we'll see.
All right.
Don't bet any money, Rogues. Remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey. We will talk to you all tomorrow. We will.